All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. And as we start off our meeting tonight, I'm going to ask you to join me for a moment of silence before we do Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll get into the agenda that's before us tonight. So if you would join me in please standing. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, next we'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Reppart. Here. Commissioner Moody. Present. Commissioner Kelly.
Present.
Commissioner Lanier.
Present.
Commissioner O'Connor.
Present.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Mayor Bliss.
Yes. All right, so if this is your first time coming to a city commission meeting, and I think I see a few young people who this may be your first meeting, let me walk you through the agenda tonight. We have a couple opportunities for public comment. We have the first opportunity for public comment, and that's if you're here to speak on something that we're actually voting on tonight. So when you look at the agenda, you'll see a whole host of items that we talked about in one of our standing committee meetings. There's some on appointments and community development and fiscal and committee of the whole. So when I open up the first opportunity for public comment, that will be specific to items that we're voting on. There's a couple of rules in this space, and for public comment, we ask that you share your name, the city that you live in, and then for this first section, we ask you to specifically say what item that you're voting or that you're commenting on. Oh, sorry, City Clerk. And our City Clerk asks you to please put your name over there on that clipboard, and that is just for recording purposes to make sure that we have it documented accurately in the minutes. Then we have a couple scheduled public hearings tonight. We have a public hearing on the agreements with the Michigan State Historic Preservation Office. So if you're here to speak on that, I'm going to ask you to hold off until I open up that public hearing. We have another scheduled public hearing, and this is on our Housing and Community Development Annual Action Plan. So if you're here to speak on that action plan, I will open up that public hearing a little bit later. And then we initially had planned on having a public hearing tonight on our human rights ordinance. And unfortunately, because of a publication error, we had to move that scheduled public hearing back until our next meeting on April 23rd. But if you're here tonight thinking that was going to be on our agenda, at the very beginning of our public comments, the last opportunity for public comment, I'll give you an opportunity to come forward. What we will do is we will put together all of those comments with the comments that we receive over the next 2 weeks and at our next meeting, and we'll make sure that the City Commission has all of those before that ordinance comes back to us for a final vote, which will happen now in May. So I apologize about that discrepancy, and if you thought that scheduled public hearing was going to be tonight. But just know that that's an important issue, and we'll have it scheduled for next week, but you can still speak tonight on that issue, okay? So I'm going to get started with the first opportunity for public comment. So again, this is public comment on items that we're voting on today or that are on our agenda in your packet. So if you're here to speak on an item that we're voting on, please come forward, and you can follow this little timer right up here.
Yes, my name is Scott Atchison. The clerk is going to bring up some documents I've submitted in the petitions and communications up here. I live in the 3rd Ward, but basically I'm here to speak on Committee on Appointments number 3. You're appointing somebody to the Downtown Improvement Board. So I'm here to speak to you about downtown, and you know why I'm here. I'm trying to convince you people, yeah, right there is good, that we need an information center downtown. Again, last weekend is a prime example. And Mark, this is kind of for you, people like you who have relocated here. Which way is north? You know, I mean, people, when they come downtown, they get lost of all sense of direction. Now, Saturday and Sunday, Kenny Chesney was in town. Saturday, everything was open. Sunday, nobody knew what was open. And they were going to all these wayfinding signs that the city authorized $800,000 to spend on years ago, looking for restaurant information, and there's none on there. You know, but we need an information center downtown. You know, there were so many people just wandering around. Then on Sunday, some lady stopped and asked me, I was downtown riding my scooter, and she goes, "Where is the rooftop bar in Homewood Suites?" I said, "That's in 161 Ottawa." and she couldn't find on their website if it's open or not. You know, and it's just crazy. But now, could you go down to the next page up here? But stop right there. There used to be an information center right at Pearl and Monroe. There used to be, but go down to the next one. These are the questions. Where is the bathroom? What's their phone number? What time do they open? These are the questions. Then go to the next page. Right here, this is a daily menu matrix that everything that's open for the bars and restaurants will be there, and every day that will change. And the people who work in this booth will be doing that list every day. That'll become so valuable. If you need to know their address or phone number, it's on there. Their food specials on there. It'll make Grand Rapids shine. Now, the Downtown Development Authority should fund the construction. The Convention and Visitors Bureau president does not want an information center at Pearl and Monroe. That just dumbfounds me. You know, maybe because it's not his idea or something. I don't know, but this would be great for the city. People don't say, I'm going to Michigan. They say, I'm going to Grand Rapids to the Van Andel for a concert. There were so many people from Indiana and Ohio here going to see Kenny Chesney on Saturday and Sunday. But this is what we need. And I'm going to go to the Convention and Arena Authority on Friday and give a more detailed how Kenny Chesney on Saturday and Sunday. It was so many missed opportunities to show people what we have. You know, now, it's not rabbit season or duck season with you guys. It's budget season. It's starting right now, and you guys need to put this in your budgets. And this Downtown Improvement Board, their budget needs to be used for an information center. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. All right, others who wish to be heard? And again, this is on items that we're voting on tonight. Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Teresa Phillips, and I'm in the 3rd Ward, the 49507 area code. And I'm speaking on D1. The resolution adopting the City of Grand Rapids Primary Statistics Plan. I would just like to say that there is no more excuses, and that we need to adopt these plans because it gives us something that we can see and refer to and hold the Grand Rapids Police Department accountable for. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Alicia Lack-White. I'm the co-chair of the Emerging Heartside Downtown Neighborhood Association, and I'm speaking on an intimate experience with the quality of life study that we're voting on tonight. I just want to make a couple comments that I've worked and played in the neighborhood for about 8 years now, from when I was 19 all the way to now, and you can do the math. And in that experience, I've seen transformation through this experience I've never seen before. There's been many attempts throughout the years, and many that I've heard of previous from my personal experience, to engage the neighborhood, and nothing has worked the way that Letitia and her team has made it work. So I'm really giving a lot of props to this. I'm seeing on an intimate level, on a community organizing level, how our work is so much easier and so much more thoughtful because neighbors are engaged now. And when Letitia says this was a 40-year process, it absolutely is. It's taken us so long to get to this point of having a magnifying glass on our area, and so I really want you to consider not only approving it but also continuing to support us, because we have one of the most important and dense areas of downtown regarding neighborhood activation. So please consider all of that in your decision making. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi everybody, my name is Jen Schaub. I have not had the honor of meeting you yet, Mr. Washington, but I'm happy to be in front of you tonight. For those of you who have heard from me over the last couple of weeks, I'm also here in support of the Heartside Quality of Life study and its findings and kind of the recommendations that are included in that. I want to support what Alicia said about the change in our neighborhood in terms of resident engagement. Throughout the process of sitting down with residents and listening to them, bringing them into a more thoughtful dialogue with the city, we've seen relationships change with the city departments, but also between residents. And so some of the things that I think are the most beneficial are the moments when we see people start to advocate for each other. So by sitting and listening, we have residents who have mobility limitations, who have been able to share those concerns and their struggles with other residents. And then we hear that broader group advocating for crosswalks in places that there haven't historically been crosswalks. We hear people be concerned for one another's welfare. When one of our studies in 2016 showed that there wasn't a connection between neighbors in the neighborhood and that was an area we could strengthen, we're seeing evidence of that strengthening. So I think our hope is that the commissioners will recognize the work that the neighbors have done in Hartside and continue to find ways to support it. We're certainly enthusiastic about the investment in the streetscape. In fact, we are seeing evidence with closed sidewalks today as we're getting new lighting in the district, and we're excited to be brought up to the same level of the rest of downtown. And so our hope is that you just continue to find ways, and looking through those recommendations, there's outlines from the neighborhood about how we can continue to support the work of residents as they kind of voyage in this whole new direction for them with a unified community vision about how they can make change and really actualize some of the things that they have visioned for their neighborhood. And to also support Alicia's comment, Hartside is traditionally a very complicated neighborhood to organize in because it is all multifamily, multi-story units. We don't have any individual households. So we're really trying to create networks where people are living on top of each other. And we're also home to many of the social service agencies that are housing people temporarily. So when we talk about the residents in our neighborhood, we talk about the people who've lived there for 15, 30 years. We talk about the people who have been there for a year or two, and we certainly include the neighbors who are staying in shelter. So I think this plan beautifully pulls together the concerns of all of those individuals, and we hope that you'll consider recognizing it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jen. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Hello, I'm Anna Marie Buller, and I'm here to also speak on the Hartside Quality of Life recommendations. I live over on the west side. Do we have to give our address? No? Okay, cool. So I have been involved with the Hartside neighborhood for a really, really long time. Definitely have a soft spot, even though a lot of my work has been throughout downtown. And this effort that's been a collaboration of the city, DGRI, Dwelling Place, and many others is really an important body of work to look at the streets of our city and to see deficits in the Hartside neighborhood and to see where certain parts of our downtown have been given different opportunities. And like others have said, the spotlight is on the South Division corridor and on multiple parts of Hartside, and it's really wonderful to see things that have been in the works for 20 to 30 years finally starting to happen. The road construction and a lot of the lighting improvements are really valuable to the neighborhood, and I'm very grateful to see those things happening even today as I walk the corridor to see folks working on putting in some additional lighting. So I guess I just want to thank you for investing in this work and to encourage you to continue to invest. A neighborhood association is coming back together in this neighborhood and it's going to need a lot of support and a lot of partnership. And so I don't know that I can say anything that hasn't already been said in that thorough report. But I just really encourage you to really give it some time and give it your consideration and really think about the impacts that this neighborhood has on our downtown and on our city as a whole. And the heart that the neighborhood has, Hartside, is something that people remember, and we want their experience in that all of our downtown to feel as warm and welcoming as other parts of downtown. So I think I said that right. But thank you so much for hearing me, and thank you for your continued support of our fine city.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne Marie. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marvin Thomas. I live in the Hartside community also. I am here to support the quality of life findings and recommendations. I've been a Hartside resident for the past 15, 16 years living in dwelling place properties. And I am excited about Heartside and how it has grown since I first moved to the Heartside community. I think it's a very vibrant community at this point. Lots of development going on, lots of building. I'm excited to see the studio development happening right now, the whole movie theater thing. Just become very passionate about what Letitia have put into this work, the quality of life. She really put her heart into this work and has worked so hard. You can tell how passionate she is when she shows up to our Heartside Neighborhood Association meetings. And I am just so excited. I'm so supportive of everything that has been done collectively together, us as a community. And I appreciate you guys and for what you're doing for the city. But I just honestly would like to second everything that Alicia, that Anna Marie, that Jen said. And I'm excited about what's happening. I just like for you guys to seriously consider adopting our recommendations and some of the findings that we've come up with. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. All right, others who wish to be heard?
Hello again, Letitia Lipscomb. I am a resident of the First Ward. You all have heard from me before, but you have not heard from me as a resident of Heartside. And so I chose to make public comment just to bring it all home and share a personal experience with you. This past weekend, we celebrated my son's birthday at the Harris Building, and we hosted a little paint and sip called Little Basquiat. And unfortunately, toward the end of that experience, we had a young lady run in because she was being attacked by a group of young people. At the time, she was just trying to have free dinner at Degage Ministries, and some problems kind of escalated, and she sought out safety and shelter inside the Harris Building while my son's birthday party was taking place. She was so scared, she immediately started screaming that she wanted to kill herself, and unfortunately, she suffered a seizure in the middle of my son's party. The reason I am making this announcement as a resident who is very concerned and passionate about the state of Heartside is because I want commissioners, the mayor, all stakeholders to understand that your investment, your acknowledgement, your attention to the Heartside neighborhood is imperative in order for the neighborhood to move forward, in order to advance our mutual interests and our shared vision for a better neighborhood that is safe and vibrant for all people who wish to live, work, and play there. It is very important that support not only comes by way of infrastructural changes and support. You know, we've been asking for that lighting for 40 years. Heartside is accountable for 12% of all robbery crimes that happen right on Division and Weston. And so while I am grateful that we're getting the lighting we so greatly need, it's unfortunate that it has taken as long. While I'm grateful for the road construction, I really want to draw light to the fact that there are some social changes and some behavioral norms that will need to be addressed. And the people have spoken. They have provided some final recommendations in the final report that I believe with my whole heart can help improve quality of life for all neighbors in Heartside. So when you accept this ASP light, because I'm claiming it in advance that you're going to accept it, when you do that, please think about the future state of Heartside. No longer can we afford to just drive through and say that it is somebody else's social problem to fix. We have to be the change that we wish to see in our own First Ward. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you. Oh, yes. I know that was a wonderful comment, but we want to make sure that we don't clap or we want to follow the rules. So I'm going to ask everyone to do that so that I can be consistent through the night. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Martha Cooper. I'm Second Ward. And I wanted to, especially, I've been coming for a long time, you know, that it's too hard. There's too many wonderful people in this town that need somebody's voice to speak up for them. But I've been speaking up about affordable housing for quite a while. During this time, I've watched articles coming out that basically talk about turning our city into a destination. And it's almost looking like it's going toward a playground for the rich. We're using public money for developers. We're talking about 140 million of public money on a hotel, so that we can draw more convention business. But this thing with the river, okay, I'm speaking to D2, River Restoration. You're talking about approving a memorandum of understanding. From the articles I see in the paper, there has been no studies. What studies there have done, they're talking about sea lampreys being able to frolic up the river some hundreds of miles. I don't want something to be approved because it sounds like a great idea when it could cause an awful lot of damage. And then the public would have to take care of that, and not the people who are going to make all this profit on the river. I believe in spending this money on people that have needs in the community. I have another 133 seconds, so I've got a little bit more to, we're not even talking about just restoring the river, which sounds really wonderful if you were cleaning up the trash, okay? And making sure that things flowed in the middle of, so we don't have ice dams on this wonderful construction that we're going to be doing. I would like some real looking into it before we go signing resolutions of understanding with capitalists who are going to alter our river. I also see that there's another capitalist in line to try to dredge the river all the way to the Lake Michigan, and there's been no real studies on that either. I'm not as worried about, there's pollution, this is something, people don't dredge something and never have to do it again. These people are not going to have to do that. That will also be public money. I would like this city to start acting like it has some vision, and I would like it to take care of its home people before you start drawing everybody here to eat us up and push us out some more.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard on items we're voting on tonight? Pastor Williams, are you coming up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Hi, welcome.
I have comments on 2 or 3 different items. It is good that you're doing something for Heartside, because I see a lot of people out there that need help. And what you're doing to be able to build or put them in home, I don't want to see them pushed out. You make a building, but it's not affordable for them to be able to live in the places that you're building for. I checked out a lot of houses, and they're skyrocketing. I checked out even on Wealthy Street and down. You're pushing us out. We don't have a chance unless God give us that chance. I take that back, because it's up to Him to direct us, and that we will all be on with one accord, and that if I should fall down, you'll pick me up. That means that you understand the problem that I'm going through, and just not sit back and look at it and says, oh, that's her, or that's him. And what I read, it says that in order for us to grow, even with our policemen, we have to put in order, teach them even in the school, what is your position when a police officer tell you to stop. To be beat down is something else. It's time for us to unite together. One man spoke to me and said, what is this world coming to? Because he said he didn't do anything, but yet he was ridiculed, pushed down, beaten. Window broke out of his car. You tell me. Talk is cheap. We can talk till we blue in the face. But if there's no resolution, there's nothing. It says one about the hindering and opposing. He asked me, if I said, well, what do I do? I'm not hindering them. I'm saying, well, go ahead. But yet still they had no mercy. I'm saying to you, as commissioners, as the mayor, all, take a look, as they say, in the mirror. Would you want to be treated that way? I thank you for your time and effort.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Williams. Anyone else who wishes to be heard on an item that we're voting on tonight? Okay, you have to come up here and speak, Mr. Miller. Can't speak from the back.
evening, fellow citizens, fellow veterans and citizens of Grand Rapids. This is the House of the People, Watchdog Miller reporting. Under 5, 13, and 14, where's your slave ship 15? Your Skyjack 7. These routes don't come downtown here tonight for under public participation. Banned way back on the wealthy viaducts. Slave ship 15, just slave ship conditions, overcrowding, and your Skyjack 7, the America's dumbest bus route. Your job to find a dumber bus route than the Skyjack. Well, unbelievable, it got dumber this week. Took me 32 minutes just to go from Slumlord Station over to Leonard, and because you should be running the 7 North and South Monroe, Ionia, Ottawa corridor in the first place. It's Skyjack, goofily running on Freeway 131, which, as you know, is more backed up than ever. So back up on the side street, you simply run it as it once ran for decades, more than that, generations, and connect up the 7 and with your Skyship. They already connect up. Don't run them into Slumlord Station. 7372. We need to bring the bus routes back on Monroe. Full support on 7.3, opposition recreation fire. 8.3, you basically doubled your please pay attention everyone to the LOCC, that's 8.3. The commission basically doubled their pay by cutting the meetings in half, and just all these further cutbacks. Mr. Miller, get in line if you want to speak. Look, most of my neighbors cannot stand in line, and secondly, you don't run our buses down here, so and what are you going to do? You appointed yourself the Area Agency on Aging, and why don't you stand up for senior citizens and get our buses back downtown? A4, under various accounts, please put cameras all over Mr. Moody's properties, 1st and 3rd Ward, one pot, the 3rd Ward pot. You can't shine cameras over across the street to the 1st Ward, there's properties there. Flood that place with cameras, and the cameras should feed directly to the police department and back. And it's my recommendation. I don't live there, so I don't have standing, but she can bring back the old police substation at Griggs and Madison or so, and that would help things out. Faster response to these alleged things going around on Moody's properties. B2. Grand Valley State University, 31 grand. They're viciously keeping our buses out of downtown.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Your time is up. Thanks. All right, anyone else who wishes to be heard on items we're voting on tonight? Hi, welcome.
Hello, my name is Cornell Clark. I don't know if it's D1 or whatnot, but I guess my public speaking is wondering what street can I walk on and which one I can't. And pretty much from the police over policing, police union contract, all that is just really just deboing us, and they're just doing too much. And I just want to speak on that. That's all I want to say. That's all.
Okay.
Not
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to close this public comment, and we're going to move on to our next item, and that is the approval of our minutes from our last meeting on March 26th. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, commissioners, any questions or comments about those? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next that will take us to petitions and communications, and we have 3 items tonight.
The first one is a communication received from the Executive Committee of the Board of the Southtown Corridor Improvement District expressing opposition to the Eastern Lofts development.
That is received and filed.
Communication received from Scott Atchison regarding an information center at Pearl and Monroe.
That is received and filed.
And a communication received from John Stratton expressing opposition to the recreational fire ordinance.
And that is also received and filed. All right, next that will take us to reports of city officers, and we have 3 items before us tonight.
The first one is a comptroller's report for the period of March 14, 2019 through March 27, 2019 in the amount of $19,548,041.96.
That is received and filed.
Treasurer's report for the period of March 9, 2019 through March 22, 2019.
That is received and filed.
And the city clerk submitted a report entitled Determination of the Local Officers Compensation Commission Establishing Salaries for the Elected Officials.
And that is also received and filed. All All right, Commissioners, next that will take us to our consent agenda. So if you're not familiar with our consent agenda, these are items that we voted on earlier today, and with the vote, it was a unanimous vote. So those are put on the consent agenda, and tonight with one vote, those items will be adopted. So Commissioners, can I get a vote for the consent agenda?
Moves.
Support. All right, any additional comments? We had a long morning, a lot of discussion. We had full agendas, I think, in all of our committee meetings. So with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, Commissioners, that is going to take us to ordinances to be adopted. We have 3 ordinances before us tonight.
The first ordinance is a consideration of adoption of an ordinance amending the recreational fire ordinance in order to update the permitting requirements.
All right,
So
can I get
moved.
Support.
All right, Commissioner O'Connor, you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, this is, comes after a couple of years of having a pilot recreational fire ordinance in the city, and through much diligence of staff, finding a way to create an ordinance that can continue on into the future after much feedback. There seemed to be this was a good path that was kind of very proactive in its approach compared to a lot of communities that offer this and have a very reactive policies.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments? There. All right, Commissioner?
I just want to say that I did not vote for this in the beginning, and I continue to be opposed because of the concerns that we've received about this from the Health Department in the past, and the Asthma Network, and the American Lung Association, as well as our own staff. So I don't think that I'm going to be prevail on this, but I did want to express my concern about the quality of life effects that it can have, particularly for our children.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. Any other comments, Commissioner?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like for the commission to kind of have some dialogue regarding the comments that were made during public comment when we had this as an item for a public hearing. I think we received quite a bit of feedback regarding the notification and the response of the neighbors, and I think that removing that isn't in the best interest. I think that it does allow kind of a bridge between what Commissioner Kelly has expressed as a concern if you have neighbors weighing in for their health purposes. And so I think we should continue on with having that within the ordinance, and would like to have some dialogue surrounding that, because I felt like we heard a lot from the public regarding that as well, that even if they don't support it, to have the opportunity to weigh in was welcomed.
Okay. So I don't know if we should invite Mr. Canfield up for people who are not familiar with the details of this ordinance. And I'll see if my colleagues have any questions about that notification element, which was adjusted.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So there is, within the text of the proposed ordinance, there continues to be a neighbor notification and objection procedure, but that procedure is one that, based on legal requirements that we've been advised of by the law department, would be reviewed by city staff. So it would not be just an unqualified, I object, therefore the city must deny the permit, which is the case today, but it would be a object and then city staff review the objection based on public health, safety, and welfare criteria.
So the notification is still in, but the difference, I just want to make sure everyone is clear, the difference is there has to be a reason that then
Correct.
city staff can look into, and if there's an appeal. My understanding is in the past, the appeal process was problematic. Is that, am I?
The appeal process was problematic because the appeal hearings officer, based on the way the ordinance has been worded, did not feel that she had the ability to override that. So the ordinance said shall be denied, and therefore the appeal hearings officer said, even though there are concerns, that person had to follow the ordinance as written.
Okay, okay.
And I think the issue is that, in my opinion, I believe opening it up for city staff to try on their own to make a determination, it just brings subjectivity. if someone is saying no, they're saying no, and that, I think that's the end of it. But I think it's going to create liability for city staff if they're the ones trying to make a determination about whether someone is legitimately expressing a health concern. Because I think the issue with smoke and health is that I may not have asthma as a diagnosis with my physician, but if I'm experiencing some things from smoke that hasn't been diagnosed, and I'm expressing that in my denial from my neighbor having a fire pit, I should be able to do that because it's impacting me personally, because of the nature of smoke traveling. And I think, even the notice and whoever put those in our boxes regarding the health department from the last time we were having this discussion, I thought that was enlightening to reread that, because smoke does travel, and I shouldn't have to have a doctor's note or even disclose my personal physical health in order to express my concern about smoke. And I just think that this was a good balance, because we didn't have an overabundance of denials that happen in that way. And so I thought that this was a way for us to be able to have those who are interested in having fire pits for recreational purposes to be able to do so, without harming people who may have that as a concern.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I know we talked about that during the pilot and when the language was originally adopted. And maybe it would be helpful, because I absolutely hear your concern. I think the primary reason why this was changed is because of legal concerns and input from the law office around liability, the exact thing that you are alluding to. So maybe we can just get a little more clarity about the legal reasons why the change was made, and how that addresses potential liability.
The reason we made the change was what's called the one citizen veto. One citizen, adjoining property owner, could make the decision that an individual would be denied without any reason whatsoever. And at that time, I was doing hearings for the city of Grand Rapids under contract, and some of the situations that came to our attention, the decisions were being made on grounds that had nothing to do with public health, safety, and welfare. In one case, it appeared as though the decision was being made on the basis of racial animus. So we had decisions that were not being made based upon the things that you've addressed, health, safety, and welfare concerns. A one citizen veto is not constitutionally supportable, and I made that note pretty much in every decision I reached that was based on the one citizen veto. But as a hearings officer, I could not do anything more about it legally. So my view was that if we have staff, trained staff, who can look at these very carefully and weigh in on public health, safety, and welfare issues, we are affording the citizens who are applying for permits a fair opportunity to be heard and to have one's issues and concerns addressed. So without that, you've literally got one citizen who can make a decision affecting the potential property rights of another citizen. Now, you can have an objection, it can come back to the city. If there is medical support, that can be provided. If there isn't, a decision could still technically be made based upon the objector's concerns that the fire would not be permitted. So it just makes the process more fair, basically, for everybody concerned.
Thank you. Thank you. That's helpful. And I know we were trying to find this balance between the two, and I know Mr. Canfield spoke to that as well, that this element of neighbor notification and having the opportunity to object is unique, that many other cities that allow backyard fires, which there are many, even some densely populated, they don't have this element of notification. Is that accurate?
So it is. So the norm in Kent County is for recreational fires to simply be allowed without a permit, and then the municipality responds to complaints. That is also the norm in other communities in the Midwest that are of similar size to Grand Rapids. So this is it appears unique attempt to balance those two, to have the ability for those who wish to enjoy a recreational fire on their property to apply for a permit, but it's not an unqualified right in that if there is a public health, safety, or welfare concern on the part of a neighbor, the city could deny that permit.
And Mr. Canfield, can you remind us some of the cities in the state of Michigan or in surrounding us that allow recreational fires but still allow for complaints and response?
Sure. So Wyoming, Walker, Kentwood, East Grand Rapids, Granville, they all allow recreational fires according to standards, but without permits. And then other cities that are farther afield, Madison, Milwaukee, others, Ann Arbor, are in Kalamazoo, they are in a similar situation where they're simply allowed, and then the municipality responds to complaints.
Okay, thank you. All right, any additional questions for Mr. Canfield? And then I'll open it up for other comments or questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is a roll call vote tonight.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier?
No.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Repart?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
No.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes. All right, next that will take us to our second ordinance tonight.
Second ordinance is a consideration of an ordinance rezoning 1023 White Avenue Northwest to TNTBA, which is Traditional Neighborhood Traditional Business District.
So moved.
Support.
All right, Commissioner Repart, you want to tell us about this? We had a public hearing related to this?
Yeah, so this is a gas station, and they are going to make it a lot better, build a beautiful building on it, and adjust it to help with traffic flow. But in order to do that, the current parking structure needs to be rezoned because the way that it is now, it's just traditional neighborhood. So this is just fixing that so that they can improve their gas station site.
But they're, just to clarify, they're not doing anything with the tanks or anything like
No.
that? It's just that back end?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, this is also a roll call vote tonight.
Commissioner Lanier?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Repart?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes. All right, that will take us to our third ordinance to be adopted tonight.
It is a consideration of a major amendment to a planned redevelopment district at 3075 Peregrine Drive Northeast.
So moved.
Support?
All right, Commissioner Jones, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, Mayor. The applicants are seeking to modify the previous approved site plan for the westernmost building by reducing the size of the building from 12,000 square feet to 4,000 square feet, relocating and reorienting the building, and designating the use of the building as retail instead of office. Two conceptual site plans have been presented. The plan with the parking lot located to the west of the building is the applicant's preferred layout, but may not be feasible due to a utility easement. The easement cannot be relocated. The alternative with the parking lot to the east would be implemented.
All right, Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, this is also a roll call vote tonight.
Commissioner O'Connor?
Yes.
Commissioner Repart?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Lanier?
Yes.
Mayor Bliss?
Yes. All right, Commissioners, next that will take us to our city resolutions. Just so you know, if it's not on your sheet in front of you, the resolution number 1 was withdrawn by staff, so they requested that be withdrawn. But we do have an item that was added today. So can I get a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved?
Support.
All those in favor of suspending the rules?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, rules are suspended, and this provides us an opportunity to consider a resolution. And this resolution is approving the City Commission's appointment of Mary Ryan to the Grand Rapids Police Civilian Appeal Board. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, Commissioner Kelly, this is your recommendation. Do you want to talk to us about this?
Yes, Mary Ryan was just recently cleared, actually yesterday, so this is why it's an add-on. And she has applied for an appointment on the Civilian Appeals Board. So we met this morning and talked about it, and staff was good enough to add it on for our meeting this evening.
Great, thank you. And I appreciate that because I know we had several openings on there, and it has been a priority, obviously not just for this board, but for other boards to get those fully, filled to capacity. So, Commissioners, any questions about this? All right, I'm going to thank our chair of our appointments committee as well. He's been working hard, so thank you, Commissioner Hart. I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, Commissioners, next that will take us to our scheduled public hearings tonight. We have two important ones. The very first one is a public hearing on programmatic agreements with the Michigan State Historic Preservation Officer. And so I'm going to open this up, and we will start this by having Ms. Bohach give us an overview of this. This is long-standing, and then we'll open it up for public comment.
Thank you. Good evening. So this is in regard to Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act, which requires federal agencies to consider the effects of program activities on historic properties. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development graciously delegates its responsibilities to local agencies to act on their behalf. And that's why the city has two programmatic agreements in place with the Michigan State Historic Preservation Officer to comply with this responsibility. The agreements are really important to us locally because it significantly reduces the amount of time a review takes because we don't have to actually submit it to the state for their review and wait for their response. And tonight's public hearing offers the opportunity to comment on the effects of both non-lead hazard reduction and lead hazard reduction activities. When we're carrying out activities, when we are carrying out activities using our federal funds, specifically the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships, Emergency Solutions Grants, Lead Hazard Control, and Lead Hazard Reduction Grant programs.
All right. Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Bohach? All right.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So if you are here tonight to be heard on this public hearing, now's an opportunity to come forward. Same rules apply. We ask that you share your name, the city that you live in. We'll give you up to 3 minutes to speak. And we ask you to write your name over there on that clipboard. So is anyone here wanting to speak on the Michigan State Historic Preservation Officer programmatic agreements? Okay, Mr. Miller, you don't have to just come forward to the podium. You don't have to ask for permission to come forward. You come to enough of these meetings, you know the rules. You can come right on up here and stand in line and be ready to speak. All right.
So, under the LOCC matter, you basically doubled your pay when you cut your number of monthly meetings in half from 4 to 2.
Mr. Miller,
Okay?
this is about historic preservation. So
you changed the subject when I walked up here.
No, this is a scheduled public
Senior
hearing.
citizens are not going to be standing in line, okay?
Historic preservation.
And then you
What are
also
your comments
ripped
on
off
historic preservation?
you also ripped off the public on
Mr. Miller,
your
what
travel.
are your comments on historic
More than I ever
preservation?
in a lifetime. So under we're on 13.1. Should be saving up north, 30 Monroe, all of the historic veterans buildings, the Michigan State Veterans Home, including Mann, McLish, and Rankin. Right now, you have 280 veterans out there. The threat is to deport them way over to Southbridge, way north, 40, 50 miles north of Detroit, with the PFA concerns. These veterans should not be deported. And I'm saying, suppose I get a stroke or something like that, I need the veterans home. I don't want to go way over to Southbridge, there's no bus service up there. And these are Michigan built, the veterans home is a Michigan matter going back to around 1887. The 13 doesn't run on Sunday. It should. please work on this. I saw Mr. Moody was in the hall, but before he went up for a commissioner, he sat way in back. Are you telling us that none of your fellow ministers want the veterans' home saved up there? Some stats show that 38% of the Army infantry are African Americans. So please focus on saving. They're beautiful buildings, they should be preserved. More games being played, and but of my 80 neighbors, I can't think of hardly one who could stand in line. We are not going to stand in line. It's another vicious move on your part. Well,
Mr.
then
Miller,
you were
there's lots of chairs
you were
on
out of order bringing it up in the first place.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard on historic preservation? This is the agreement with the Michigan State Historic Preservation Office.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Commission. My name is David Davis. I've lived most of my life here in Grand Rapids. And the lady talked about the restoration of the Grand River. We have a historic part of that Grand River that runs from Grand Rapids to Grand Haven. It's called a wing dam. It created 2 channels for the shipping, commercial shipping, to go up and down the Grand River. And I'm afraid that dredging of that river could damage that wing dam, which is actually a historic part of our city's history. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right, anyone else wishes to be heard on the agreement with the State of Michigan Historic Preservation?
Again, I'm Pastor Adela Williams. And the historical, when you think about the Veterans Facility and all the aging, I believe the last time I was here, they were saying they was going to remove it to Burton Street. Was going to make a building there, the building that at Burton, and forgot the name of the street. But anyway, it was right there in that park or place. Now, I looked at the Veterans Facility, and I think that it's a great building. It's the matter of making sure that you get all the facility that is needed inside of the veterans. I have people come to me speaking on the veterans, and they saying that it's not run properly, but being the building itself historically, I don't think that it should be torn down or removed. Some of my people saying that the way that they are handling the building inside is what should be concerned, not tearing it down or removing. We had a lot of our plays or in the summertime when they go through to help the veteran, then we'll use that part of the facility outside. So my comment is to leave well enough alone. If it's hysterical, don't tear it down. Because we lose all our aspect of why Michigan is so great. Now you're bringing all this beer capital now. What do y'all expect for it to happen with all these new buildings and beer being the capital? What do you expect for it to happen here? Nothing good. Nothing good. That's what I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Williams. All right, anyone else wishes to be heard? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close that public comment period, and we are going to refer that back to our committee of the whole. All right, next that will take us to our second scheduled public hearing tonight, and this is a public hearing on the fiscal year 2020 Housing and Community Development Annual Action Plan. So I'm going to have our city clerk maybe pull that up, and we'll start, thank you. And we'll start with Ms. Connie Bohach again, and then if you're here to be heard on this, I'll have you come up after Ms. Bohach is done.
Okay, so on March 26th, funding recommendations were presented for projects and programs supporting outcomes under the city's neighborhood investment plan and for homelessness prevention and rapid rehousing services. Approximately $5.6 million of investment was recommended and detailed in the draft FY 2020 Housing and Community Development Annual Action Plan. That plan serves as the city's application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnerships, and Emergency Solutions Grants programs. The annual action plan covers the 4th year of the city's regional consolidated housing and community development plan. The annual action plan specifically identifies activities to be carried out from July 1 of 2019 through June 30th of 2020, using funds from the programs previously listed, and also includes activities supported with justice assistance grants. Tonight's public hearing is part of a 30-day public comment period that began on March 22nd. After this public hearing, written comments may still be provided to the Community Development Department through 5 p.m. on April 22nd. All written comments will be forwarded to the City Commission for your review and consideration before final funding, approval of final funding awards and our submission of the plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. So the draft plan is also available online at grcd.info, and you can email comments to communitydev@grcd.us. Any questions?
Thank you. All right, so if you are here tonight to be heard on the fiscal year 2020 Housing and Community Development Action Plan, now's an opportunity to come forward. Same rules apply. We ask that you share your name, the city that you live in, and we'll give you up to 3 minutes to speak. So if you are here to be heard on these recommendations, you can come on up. Good evening. My name is Nancy Haynes. I'm the Executive Director of the Fair Housing Center of West Michigan, and I have the pleasure of knowing most of you, and if I don't know you, I'm glad to meet you. First, I want to start by saying we are so grateful for the longtime partnership we've had with the City of Grand Rapids. Our Fair Housing Center is unique to Fair Housing Centers across the country in that we started as a partnership between the city and the realtors and advocates from the public schools in an effort to try to figure out how best to integrate our schools. And as a community, we said, busing doesn't really work. They looked at other communities across the country and the struggles, and they decided that a more permanent way to integrate schools would be to integrate neighborhoods, and that was our origin. And so out of that, we really have tried to lead with a handshake and consistent funding. And when I say that, I mean that we try to be proactive in trying to head off housing discrimination. And we find that we really know that the majority of people want to comply with the law, they just don't know how to, or they don't know what their rights are. So in having a fully funded Fair Housing Center, we're able to really provide that proactive education and outreach. So we're really proud of that heritage, and the funding that we get from the city enables us to do that. We try to leverage the city funding that we get with federal funding, and we've been successful for the past several years in getting about $325,000 or $425,000 from the federal government, and that's to cover all of West Michigan, but we use a disproportionate amount of that money to cover Grand Rapids, so we leverage that on top of what we get with the city of Grand Rapids. Unfortunately, in this political climate, we've seen a huge spike in our demand for services. We've also seen a real instability in federal funding. Last year, we had a gap in funding of 3 months. HUD was so far behind in allocating the grants, the fair housing grants, that we didn't have funding from January until late March. And this year, they haven't even made the grant announcements yet. So we'll probably experience at least another 3 months. So that means another $82,000 hole in our budget. So, and it's not that fund, once the contracts go into place, then it's not retroactive, so we can't make that up. So I really appreciate all the hard work that goes into developing the recommendations, but if there's any way, we're grateful for the level funding, but if there's any way to increase that, we've been we're only $2,000, our contract is only for $2,000 more than it was in 2005, while the demand for services has increased in that time, and the city has cut their fair housing officer. The Community Development Department has been cut. They do great work, but we could partner and meet the demand for services at a much better rate if we had more funding. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Haynes. And thank you for your work. Thanks. Hi, welcome.
My name is Chris Romero, Third Ward resident and Resource Development Manager at Home Repair Services of Kent County. Home Repair Services will be celebrating 40 years this year, and we've been grateful to partner with the city in some way, shape, or form in each one of those 40 years. So thank you for that longstanding partnership. Thank you for continuing to consider that partnership, especially as it relates to the CDBG recommendations set forth in the action plan that this hearing is all about. So we see our work as really a significant piece to the the housing crisis that is so familiar to so many people in our communities, especially those that we serve. Home repair is the least expensive housing option for them. Alternatives are much more costly, especially when it's in a crisis situation where you're kind of on the street unexpectedly. So keeping folks in their homes by ensuring safe and healthy homes and living environments is critical, and it's really core to our mission. So in the last program year, this partnership between the city and Home Repair Services was able to replace 10 furnaces, repair 83 furnaces, repair 77 leaky roofs, perform 287 plumbing jobs, modify services, because we know, especially for the homeowners that we serve, the home that they're living in, that they own, is going to be designed bathrooms to be more accessible to seniors and to others with disabilities, and build 5 wheelchair ramps, among other critical repair jobs. That was just last year. I think it's also important to note that the average household income of the folks that we serve, household income is around $18,000 per year. So you can imagine the importance of these resources to vulnerable homeowners who may be facing a critical health or safety hazard in their homes, like a defective furnace or like a leaky roof. So we're there for them in a lot of those situations. So thank you, just thank you for considering again this coming year, for continued funding, and really for considering us in the contingency provision in the event that the city is awarded more CDBG money. That shows your confidence and ability to really be good stewards of these funds, and that means a lot. So thanks.
Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard on the recommendations?
Pastor Idella Williams again. And I'd like to thank Home Repair because they built me a ramp. So that was something that I truly needed. And I thank God that they came through for me. The other thing is the lead out program, the amount of money is said for that. But most of us don't get an opportunity to be able to use the money or get the lead out. So what we need to know is where do we go in order to do that. I have a sister who had heart trouble, surgery. Her roof is caving in on her, but they're saying her income is too much for her to get help from Home Repair or anyone else. Now, we said that we're here to help each other. Then what do I need to do to be able to get her roof? She went into the neighborhoods and checked out a lot of other organizations. They said they're coming, but nothing is done. Her whole roof is caving in, and something needs to be done. And she's 73. So I'm saying, where do we go to bridge the gap in order to get seniors that may have a lot of money or had a lot of money? They don't have it now, but still got to pay their bills in order to live. And I know that Restored, it said that it had so much money, but when we went down and checked, they don't do it because they don't have the funds. I'm asking, where do we get this information as to how we can go to someone, and where is it at? DHS, all of them, they won't help. And she's I'm sorry. I was in a car accident, so just thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
You
much.
did just fine. Thank you, Pastor Williams. All right, others who wish to be heard? And this again is the public hearing on the recommendations, the funding recommendations for housing and community development annual plan. All right, anyone else? I'm going to close this public hearing. You're coming up.
Oh, Watchdog back. Thanks for the annual opportunity to say compendium again, but we need index this report is anyway just flopped one after another, different departments coming in or agency. There's no way you can reference it back. Suppose I want to focus in right away. What's in the whole report for veterans? It should be indexed in the back somewhere, or say smoking, non-smoking. You need if you're spending all this money, then you should be banning smoking and so-called recreational fires at all the senior homes. You already do it for the ones you run, such as Ransom, Adams, Mount Mercy, and Leonard Terrace. But there are similar buildings around. Any federally funded senior housing with 20 residents or more, you should be banning smoking. Dealing with so-called market rates, just ban the illegals, use unfair tactics. They get to take a whole meeting. You only had 30 radicals, 19 at the start.
Mr. Miller, this is about CDBG and home
we're
funding.
talking about, I'm talking about fair housing. I think she's still here. You permit unfair taxes in these meetings where they take over, and then the next meeting we're lined up against the wall. It just shows no class whatsoever. But we're on another possible pot right here, and I think we're on 7 million on this pot is to again flood Moody's properties in the first and third ward.
Mr. Miller, this
use
is
this
about
pot
the
of money.
Mr.
Use
Miller,
this pot of money.
Mr. Miller, this is about home and CDBG funding
He
recommendations.
lives okay,
No, this is about funding
and I'm
recommendations.
saying use it to flood
Yep.
his place with cameras.
It's about the
Going back to the police
recommendations that we're
department.
making to fund nonprofits.
Well, I think, let's see. So, again, I'm asking for index. I never see it year after year. It's a sloppy process, and ban smoking. And if you ban illegal aliens from these funds, we'll drive down the so-called market
Mr. Miller,
price.
this
which
is about
responsible
funding
more than
rec-
anything
Mr.
than
Miller,
our
this-
apartment
Mr.
and
Miller?
so-called housing rentals. So you're not smart enough to see what's going on.
this is about funding recommendations, so thank you.
Right, well, if they ban illegal aliens, we'll drive down our market rates.
Your time's up. Anyone else who wishes to be heard? All right, I'm going to close that opportunity for public comment, and that will be referred back to Committee of the Whole. All right, so this is going to open up our last opportunity for public comment tonight. So if you are here to speak about anything else, or if you're here to speak about the human rights ordinance that we had initially planned on having before us tonight, you are welcome to come forward. Again, though, we have the formal public hearing for that was pushed back until our next meeting on April 23rd. So you're welcome to come forward. Same rules apply. We ask that you write your name over there on that clipboard. We'll give you up to 3 minutes to speak, and we ask that you share your name and the city that you live in. Hi, welcome. Come on up. Good evening.
I am Frida Kanini from Comstock Park, and I wanted to take this opportunity to thank everyone here for the opportunity to speak about the very first African Festival. It's going to be at downtown Grand Rapids, and it's going to be the very first African Festival. So I wanted to take this opportunity first to thank the City of Grand Rapids for supporting us. We are getting the partnership and support from DGRI, and we are also getting from Mobile GR. So I want to say thank you so much, and I also want to invite all of you. Please come out, see what we are doing. I have some flyers. Bing will pass them around.
Yeah, if you want to bring those up, we would love to see them.
So this is just to showcase the beauty and the diversity of the African countries. And just to, some quick things I put together. The mission is to bring people together for a more united and productive community, to create opportunities that will support local causes here. A lot of the African communities, sometimes they have their own charities back home from their countries, but this time I wanted to showcase that they can also support local communities here. So one of the charities that we are supporting is the Refugee Education Center, and we'll be picking up more as we go. I'm planning to have this organization registered fully as a nonprofit. Right now, I am the one that is registered as a city vendor because it's my vision and I wanted to bring it to the community, but my goal is to have it registered. The other mission for the A Glimpse of Africa is to increase visibility to improve the African community engagement in our Grand Rapids city and, of course, the West Michigan community. I also want to enrich the diversity in the city of Grand Rapids through sharing and learning different cultures, to create a platform that will showcase, market, and promote local talents and businesses. So I want to call everyone here. Please welcome. It will be downtown. There will be food from different countries of Africa. There will be also music by different DJs and local performances here from different schools, different bands, and also we'll be having merchandise, different clothing, and all the other things that will be coming from different communities. So far, we have over 20 countries that are participating. We hope to have more. Africa has 55 countries and 54 that are known by the United Nations. So we hope that we can have at least half by getting to 25. The event will be on August 10, as you'll see on the flyer. And it's going to be a one-day event because it's the very first time we are doing it. It's a very family-friendly event, so please bring family and friends, and it's also including kids, of course. There will be food, entertainment, and vendors, and there will be interactive activities that will include face painting for kids. We'll be also showcasing these.
Thank you. Your time is up, but thank you for coming, and thank you for letting us know, and we are happy to help spread the word.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Hi, welcome.
My name is Cornell Clark. I'm speaking once again about human rights. I'm just feeling that everyone should be treated fairly. In a way, I shouldn't have to feel like because of my color I got to be treated like an animal. Or unite with my friends and we all in agreements of what the media is doing with us, having a field day with us. And it's just what it is. And I don't know how long we got to be afraid or terrified of what next or what they might do. Or knowing me, I had a lot of cars. I don't even endorse in buying cars or such a thing. Now even walking, as I was saying earlier, I don't even know which side of the street to walk down because I could even hear their car. I'm so much, I don't know. I'm born and raised here, been through more than enough. I'm just speaking for me and a lot of people. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right, others wish to be heard?
How you doing, everybody? My name is DeAndre Jones, big community advocate, Safe Pitch Task Force winner. I'm here today to talk about my experiences from the past year. So, beginning of January, I started at Steepletown Neighborhood Services. I actually went to a conference and I met my mentor, Corey Anderson, and I was just thinking like, all right, like I didn't have a job at the time. I'm just like, man, I'm not gonna come check out your program right now, but eventually I'll come check it out. So January came about 6 months later. I'm like, all right, well, I'm a natural born leader. I want to create something. I know I'm here to do great things. And so I ended up going to his program. I ended up being guided to the LEAD program, which was a great experience. I was a graduate of the LEAD program. I advise anybody that hasn't done that to actually do it. It's a great experience. And so that led me to the Safe Pitch Task Force, where I created my program initiative, Jump Ahead. I've been able to advocate that to the governor of Michigan. I've been able to come to across several state representative for Lansing, state representative for Detroit, the assistant senator. I've been able to meet Winnie Brinks. I've been able to meet a lot of different people in politics. I've been able to meet a lot of different organizations that kind of reflect, I believe, the strongness of my soul and just the resilience. I believe I'm a natural born leader, and that I'm here to, like I said, here to do great things. And so Thursday I will be graduated from Steepletown. I'm actually being presented an award for all of the hard work that I've done, and I'm very, I want to invite the commissioners or anybody, the mayor, on Thursday. It's at 6. You guys can arrive, but I'll actually be graduating from Steepletown, and I got a lot of different projects. I've been able to meet a lot of different people that actually helped me build my dream and actually possibly building the community center here on the west side of Grand Rapids, where there's really not too much love. I've also been able to come across a woman who has a CBD company that's actually about to reach $9 million to $1 billion. That's actually working with the NFL. Retirees, and she actually wants to work with NBA retirees to do the same thing, and she has a business plan for the tournament that will actually possibly generate $20 to $30 million. I'm saying this confidently because I believe in myself. I know you can create an asteroid mining company here in America under the United States Congressional Competitiveness Act, and that's where the world's first trillionaire will actually come, other than the Rothschild family and everybody else. I'm saying this boldly because I really do believe in myself. I believe in my program. I believe that I can help the city become stronger. I strategically plan myself. I've been into the meetings myself, and I kind of see how I can fit in. So I'm developing my tournament. Been able to call Keller Ford because I know Keller Ford works with the police and all of the cruisers and everything. So I'm really trying to end that, at least attack the school, prison to school pipeline. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations on your graduation. Hi, welcome.
Once again, I'm David Davis. I live here on the west side, and I have my pet peeve as usual about the trash in the city of Grand Rapids. Right now we have the Empire Suites opening up on South Division, or North Monroe, and it doesn't look very nice, and we're going to have a lot of guests here on Thursday, and it needs a lot of cleaning to give our city a good impression. I've had a lot of things to talk about, and due to the commotion and disrespect that we've had with over-redundance of certain issues at previous meetings, I wasn't allowed to speak. And I would like for these people to learn that they do more harm to their point by doing something that's disruptive than they do gaining any success. About 6 weeks ago, I took a bus ride on the Empire line. I had about 6 places to go, and I stopped at 6 different bus stations for the Silver Line. And out of the 6, 5 of them were filthy. They had trash baskets there, and there was trash immediately around the trash basket, and there was very little in the trash basket. Trash baskets are not the answer. We have to have people that have pride in their city, clean up after themselves, put stuff where it belongs. And we have to attack the citizens that are disrespectful. And that's the only one that was clean was the one in front of DeVos Place. And the only reason it was clean was one of the downtown ambassadors had just gone by that site. So I imagine that he'd cleaned it up. And even downtown, I'll see the downtown ambassadors go around and clean up in 10, 15 minutes, it's trashed again. There's one time I went from City Hall here up to to Michigan Street, and I picked up all the trash immediately in front of the City Hall and the Federal Building here. And I got a whole bag full of trash. And it's not limited to that place, it's limited to all over the city. We have a lot of people that are drinking liquor, and a lot of them are drinking liquor in glass bottles. Those glass bottles are being broke all over the city, and that creates a hazard to the people that are walking, people that are driving and riding bikes. And it's something that we have to address in one way or another. So I'm continually carrying my little bags with me, my merchant's bags, and I'm continually picking up trash. Yesterday I picked it up along the Grand River Walk between I-196 and 6th Street Bridge, and I picked up quite a bit of trash. So there's one place in there that's really filthy and it needs to be cleaned.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Davis.
You're
Thank
welcome.
You. All right, others wish to be heard? Bless you.
Hi, my name is Alicia Lackway. I'm speaking on behalf of the Heartside neighborhood and also myself as a concerned resident and also someone who's very passionate about their city growing in a very holistic way. I'm happy to just speak for a minute about just my experiences working in mental health, working in community arts programming, and also having personal experiences with friends and loved ones who have experienced homelessness. I'm excited about the annual plan, and I'm also encouraging the commission to not only support but also continue to think outside the box on this issue, because we have, I mean, all of us working on the grassroots level understand how the money typically works in the city and how it typically is given very traditional ways. And so we're really trying to think outside the box and look at the innovative ways that other cities like San Francisco and Dubai not only treat their homeless with dignity, but also help support them once into homes, beyond that, whether it's financial or support systems. These things can be a matter of life or death, or even just like getting back on the street. So I just really want to express, just if anyone comes towards you in the near future, really take seriously some of these innovative ideas coming to the table about different home situations, different financial ways to support people getting back on their feet, because there's some really radical data out there that I think that some people may think Grand Rapids isn't ready for, but a lot of us believe we are. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening, Mayor Bliss, distinguished city commissioners, City Manager Washington, City Clerk Hondorp, City Attorney Hitchcock. My name is Bing Goey. I am a resident of the 2nd Ward. I am here as a member of the Planning Committee of the Grand Rapids International Network. It is an initiative that was started by a group of us who have lived here and have come into this city and have had to struggle to become integrated into the city. And we wanted to take an active approach about helping our city become an international city. I think that we have a wonderful city. I understand the challenges that you are also addressing and hearing about tonight, but there's also good things going on in the city. And I think that one of the things that we wanted to do as a planning committee is we wanted to take actions. We believe that we know what the problems are. We don't need to do another study that collects dust. We have talked about this issue in my lifetime here living in the city, for over 30-some years. And so we formed this Grand Rapids International Network. And I've given you the vision and mission statement, but I do want to share that with our audience. Our vision for the Grand Rapids International Network is to have Grand Rapids be a vibrant and sustainable international city. And the purpose of that vision is to grow and retain an international workforce. My work with Governor Schneider as the director of the Office for New Americas, we have the data that shows that we must have the talent needed to grow a global economy and to give opportunities for everyone to be able to have jobs and security and a quality of life. And our mission is to be united against a culture of exclusion and committed to a culture of affirmation and respect, with the purpose of growing and retaining an international workforce in Grand Rapids. Our strategies are engagement, education, empowerment, and awareness. And our values are this: to be international, to be intentional, to be inclusive, and to have integrity. I am only one part of a group of individuals who are committed to this. I would like to invite all of you to join us at our next meeting on April 29. It is a meeting that we call Meeting Our Elected Officials. Many of these new individuals have come to our cities, whether they are immigrants, refugees, or individuals who have been recruited from other parts of the world. They need to know who you are, and you need to know who they are. So I would like to invite you to come and join us on April 29th. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bing. All right, others wish to be heard?
My name is J.R. Martin. I live in Grand Rapids on Anishinaabe land, and no one is illegal, just to clear the air around that. But I'm here with Cosecha and Rapid Response in solidarity with the 360GR movement and Together We Are Safe to bring your attention back to the demands of our groups regarding the GRPD and accountability. So to the City Commission and the GRPD, we in the community, Movimiento Cosecha GR, GR Rapid Response to ICE, 360GR Movement, and Together We Are Safe, demand the following. 1, support driver's licenses for all in the state of Michigan. 2, fire police officers who have committed acts of brutality by beating and kicking black drivers. Fire Captain Kurt Vanderkoy, who has a long history of discrimination based on race and is not safe for our neighborhoods. 3, stop all cooperation with ICE and use no city resources to do the work of ICE. There should be no police role of ICE liaison. 4, release the code of conduct for officers and the track record of each officer's misconduct report, including complaints against them. Release the reports of their investigations so that the public can track their accountability processes. Create an accountability reprimand policy for all officers who stand by during instances of beating or other harm. 5, create subpoena powers and investigative powers for the Civilian Appeals Board. 6, give a vote of no confidence to Acting Chief Kittle. 7, create a program whereby the GRPD pays for, at minimum, 5 years of trauma-related therapy, especially for any youth interaction deemed inappropriate regarding harassment, profiling, excessive force, etc. And finally, 8, regarding the $1 million over 5 years that the city has set aside to deal with community police relations, appropriate that directly to the community to keep our neighborhoods safe. And we want an answer to these demands by Tuesday, April 30th, 2019.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
My name is Raina Cook. I'm from Grand Rapids. All of our demands have to do with accountability. On the issue of accountability, it's important to note that police departments have a long and complicated history. When white settlers took land from the indigenous people of Turtle Island, the role of early police was clearly in the interest of white settlers. Dr. Victor Kapler of Eastern Kentucky University, a criminal justice professor, writes this: "The institution of slavery and the control of people of color were two of the historic features of American society shaping early policing. Slave patrols and night watches, which later became modern police departments, were both designed to control the behaviors of people of color. For example, New England settlers appointed Indian constables to police Native Americans. The St. Louis Police were founded to protect residents from Native Americans in that frontier city, and many Southern police departments began as slave patrols. In 1704, the colony of Carolina developed the nation's first slave patrol. Slave patrols assisted the wealthy landowners in recovering and punishing slaves who essentially were considered property. And so when we are talking about police departments, we are talking about entities that by their very being, by their history and structure, are threatening to any possibility of racial equity in this city. And that's why we must have a high level of accountability. Because just as we have seen in recent events, the existence of the police department itself can and does threaten the rights of Black and brown folks in this city. By its own history and structure, the existence of the police department threatens the rights of those who do not own property."
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name is Elena Gormley. I live in the 2nd Ward. There has been a lot of talk in these public comment periods about movements such as Cosecha and Rapid Response who interrupt political meetings like this one. I would remind you that this strategy, born of desperation because nobody would listen to the cries of families being separated, is how we effectively ended ICE holds in Kent County. When Captain Kurt Vanderkoy reported Hilmar Ramos Gomez to ICE after seeing a picture of him on TV, and when the Kent County Jail honored ICE's warrant for Ramos Gomez, a citizen and a veteran, of course there was an uproar. But let's be very clear. If Cosecha and Rapid Response had not been interrupting meetings and holding Kent County accountable for the 8 months prior to that, the sheriff would have never ended ICE holds based on that one incident. It's also important to remember that groups who are historically not allowed to hold structural power, Black and brown folks, the poor, the disabled, the LGBTQ community, these are people who typically use methods of nonviolent disruption because their votes are not counted, their voices are not heard, they are not invited to the table. Marginalized groups historically use the methods of civil disobedience that Martin Luther King, Cesar Chavez, and Dolores Huerta used. This is how progress is made. For those of us who do not want to be complicit in the harm being done to Black and brown communities, we are in solidarity with these communities. That's why you see us at these actions. And we come together in solidarity, Black and brown and white, queer and not queer, disabled and able-bodied, Jewish and agnostic and Christian and more. We will build a movement you cannot ignore.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
Hi, my name is Jose Rodriguez. I am here on behalf of Movimiento Cosecha, as well as
I am a youth advocate for Grand Rapids Public Schools, and I don't believe I'd be doing my due diligence if I wasn't speaking against inequalities and inequity in our community. For years, the Black and Latinx communities have been struggling to be heard in the face of police power in Grand Rapids. Families have been separated due to over-policing, over-incarceration, detention, and deportation. It is documented that Black and brown people trying to drive to jobs in school in Grand Rapids have been pulled over at higher rates than white people. Those unable to get driver's licenses or unable to pay exorbitant traffic fines have been unjustly detained, separating them from work and children. They have then been charged more outrageous amounts for bail or bond. On top of this, GRPD continues to target Black and brown people in numerous ways, including calling ICE on citizens, harassing youth walking in neighborhoods, and beating down drivers. Now the Black and Latinx communities are coming together to fight this injustice together in solidarity. This is why our demands for accountability include a demand that the city must pay for trauma therapy and that money set aside for community police relations must be given to the community. As a community, we can figure out how to make our community safe. At Cosecha, we designate specific crowd safety roles. We keep each other safe. Communities all over the world are doing this same work of keeping each other safe without armed police. It's time to give resources to the people of Grand Rapids to work on doing the same, instead of spending a third of the city's budget on police who are not part of the community, who do not live in the communities that they police, and who are working within a structure that was originally built to oppress people of color. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Others wish to be heard?
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Lorena Aguayo Marquez. Good evening, my name is Lorena Aguayo Marquez. Another of the demands involves driver's license for all. If the Grand Rapids City Commission wants to show that it really cares and is truly a welcoming body for immigrants, issue a resolution in support of driver's license for all in the state of Michigan. Use your influence as the second largest city in the state. When you ask undocumented immigrants what they want most, the first thing they say is they want papers. I need to explain something first. Many people mischaracterize immigrants as not caring about their status. They say, why don't they get in line or go through the regular channels? But according to the American Immigration Council, this suggestions miss the point. There is no line available for unauthorized immigrants, and the regular channels do not include them. Immigration in the United States on temporary or permanent basis is generally limited to 3 different routes: highly specialized employment, family reunification limited to specific family relationships, and given a numerical limit or humanitarian protection. Through many unauthorized immigrants are fleeing for the fear from devastation, poverty, or violence caused by U.S. intervention in their countries. The U.S. will not allow them humanitarian protection, such as a refugee or asylum status, even for those who can go through those routes. The typical wait is 5 to 25 years, and the cost is in the tens of thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, USA employers, especially those in the agriculture, construction, healthcare, and food preparation industries, encourage immigration, especially here in Michigan, because they desperately need the workers in certain underpaid roles. So again, when you ask undocumented immigrants what they want the most, the first thing they say they want their papers. But because the government refuses to give them papers, the second thing they say that they want is driver's license and state IDs.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorena. Others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hello, my name is Nellie. This is my Aunt Marilu, my 2 little cousins, Fatih and Angie. I am Brandon Reyes' cousin, and this is his mom and his 2 little sisters. Brandon was targeted by ICE on February 20th of this year. When Brandon was detained, so was my aunt. They were taken away from their family because they're not legal here. My aunt had to leave her 2 children here, and the reason why they took her was because she didn't have a driver's license. On May 1st, Cosecha would be marching to show unite in front of her demand of driver's license. We are calling a roar for driver's license, o el grito para las licencias. They would like to give you something if they can. We invite you all to come march with us, not as politicians, but individuals. We do not use campaign. We do not march. Come an individual because it's the right thing to do. There is a reason I ask you to come as individuals. Our Cosecha movement has certain principles that we stand by. And one of our principles is that we do not dance with politicians or political parties. We are tired of broken promises and political parties. They want our phone numbers for their elections, but they never call us when they're elected. Our work is on the street and with the people. We are not focused on the politicians. Our target is with the people. We don't have an external representative or advocates. We speak for ourselves. They have let us down again and again, promising us to give us immigration reform in order to get our votes. They never deliver. So this is why we use actions, chants, and marches in the traditional of social movements all over the world. And we build our movement with people, power, not politicians. We hope to see you at the march. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
My name is Karen Myers. I'm a resident of Kent County. You've been invited to the May 1st March as individuals. And there's something else that the City Commission and the GRPD should know about our Cosecha principles. Another Cosecha principle is that we are a non-violent movement. The principle reads, our shield is nonviolence. Nonviolence keeps our movement alive. It is our shield that reflects the true perpetrators of the state violence that our people suffer from daily. It is our strategy to bring light to the injustice that we suffer every day. We feel pain from the abuses of the police and others, and we will keep exposing their violence through our discipline. We said earlier that we have crowd safety folks who help keep us safe. They are trained in nonviolence and de-escalation. So when the city sends out a strong force of armed police officers at every action we announce, they are showing up to try to intimidate a group of vulnerable people that are following a principle of nonviolence. We see very clearly what you are doing. So come join us as individuals and experience what it's like to be part of a nonviolent action of the people. Our fight for licenses is just one step in our fight for dignity, respect, and permanent protection for all 11 million underdocumented people in the U.S. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. All right, others wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Good evening. My name is Quinn. Oh, this thing is difficult. My name is Quinn Burke. I live on the west side. I'm here as an ally with the Black and Brown community as well as Movimiento Cosecha. I'm here wearing these earrings that say no human being is illegal. It's not illegal to exist while brown. It shouldn't be treated like brown people. Black and brown people should not be treated like they are innately criminals just because of the neighborhoods that they live in, because of the skin color that they have. I'm here asking that there be more than just police accountability. I ask that you take the action to actually fire Captain Vanderkoy. He does not make this community safe. He does not make my friends feel safe. The entire Grand Rapids Police Department and their propaganda coming shortly after the appalling videos of them beating our neighbors. So it's clear that they have a lot of making up to do. Maybe they're feeling the pressure, but I encourage all of you to take a look within yourself and see how that you can best serve the community and make them feel safe. My friends don't feel safe. It's a privilege to wake up, pick up your keys, get in a car, go where you need to go. For undocumented immigrants in Michigan who do not have access to a driver's license, and maybe they need to go somewhere because they can't get there any other way and they decide to drive. We know that Black and brown people in this community are pulled over at an extremely high rate compared to people with the color of skin that I have. So I ask that you also support our driver's licenses for all campaign. and that you really listen to the demands that Movimiento Cosecha has presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Burke. Others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hello, Mayor. How are you?
Good.
Esteban Moreno. I'm a U.S. veteran of the Army. I'm also a proud retiree of the GRPD. I've stood here and listened to a lot of this, and I'm just really in shock. I'm also a voice for the badge. I think right now the police department cannot represent themselves, these officers that are out there doing their jobs, because of state law and because they can't organize, they can't protest, they can't do anything that everybody else can, but they count on people like myself, Johnny Brand, and the voice of the badge to come forward and stand on their behalf. These young men and women are doing their job. That's all they're doing. They're trying to do their job. And you're seeing, I think it's pretty evident in the numbers and how many people are actually applying for these jobs now. You're seeing them drop. And this is the reason why. Because who's supporting them? Who's gonna back them when they're out there and they get a bullet because they're out there trying to protect somebody else's family? You remember Bobby Kosminski. It's gonna happen again. And is that the only time that the city's gonna come forward and support the police department and support their families? Do you remember Dan Dice? Was anybody around when Dan Dice was around? What happened with him? He was off duty, and he dove into a lake to try and save a man he thought was drowning, and he got electrocuted. And yet, the city fought to give him his death rights, his death benefits, okay? So, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that these officers, man, all they want to do is do their job. All they want to do is help people, and all they want to do is go home to their families, because they all have families. Whether they live in the city of Grand Rapids or not, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is they've committed themselves to this community, they've committed themselves to this job and this police department. Chief Kittle, my hat's off to him. I think he's got the right plan. I think, yeah, he's counting for more officers. I totally agree with him. There is a more need for more officers. I've been there. I've been in the midst of a fight that was on the southeast side, and there was only 2 officers for that sector, and I had to wait until my backup came. And I'm not the only one. I'm almost say every officer out there has had to do that at one time or another. When there's only 2 officers for a sector, okay, and when back then it was the east sector, which went from just south of Hall Street all the way to 44th Street, and from East Paris all the way to Granville. Okay, that's a huge sector for 2 officers to cover. And to try and hope that your backup's gonna be there. When they're calling for another officer from another sector to come down into your sector to help you, I mean, come on, it's pretty obvious what needs to be done here. Stand for the badge, back the badge, because that's what they need. They need us standing here. We don't have to do that. We don't. We're civil about what we have to do, and we're gonna bring it forward to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, others who wish to be heard? Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Doug Dittmar, and in my many years, I have never been to a city commission meeting before tonight, and all of my years have been spent in Grand Rapids. Different topic. I would like to say that this has been a great learning experience. Not everybody agrees, but everybody is heartfelt and sincerely expressed their position. That was impressive. My situation is a bit different. In February, I addressed the zoning board seeking a variance for a property that is owned by my family. We have been trying to sell it off and on now for a number of years. A buyer came forward and they want to use it for cannabis sales. And in order for, I'm also the real estate agent, in order for that to take place, we needed to get a variance for the property located at 1438 28th Street. For those of you that are unaware, that property is located just to the west of Meyer. It has a copper roof on the front of it. Those properties are all terraced. Directly across from the property is a city cemetery. And of course, all city cemeteries are zoned residential. On the other side of 28th Street, no houses, cemetery fully plotted. I came seeking a variance. All of the group involved with the transaction thought it would be easy. It wasn't. I heard things during the meeting about setting a precedence and all those kind of things. This is our first application for this. What are we going to do with it? They tabled it, and later on in March, they decided to deny it. And I'm reading from the minutes here. Mr. Davis, who led the meeting on our hearing, said, "I don't consider the cemetery unique for the property." Well, if it isn't unique, what is it? I'm just here to express my disappointment. There will be a lot more of this, I know. I have 10 months invested in this effort, and I'm just disappointed that things went the way they did, and I wanted you to know that.
Thank you. Sir, can you share your name one more time?
Doug Dittmar.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dittmar. Hello, I'm Nancy Haynes. I'm a proud resident of the First Ward, and I want to just state my support for the Human Rights Ordinance. I am a past member of the Community Relations Commission, and this is something that we've been hoping for a long time, so I commend the staff and the current Community Relations Commission and all the shoulders that they stood on to get to this point, but I think it's well-written, and we could continue to tinker with it, but I think it's a really good first step, so I want to just state my wholehearted support for that. And then second, I want to make sure that you all know about our Fair Housing Luncheon and Workshop series scheduled for April 25th. Our own Commissioner Jones will be on one of the panels in the morning on one of the workshops talking about the cost of segregation. Joining him will be Stacy Stout and Patty Caudell talking about some of the efforts that the city are undertaking with regard to addressing equity and inclusion. And we will also, in the past, we've featured Fable, the poet laureate of the city of Grand Rapids, and Rachel Gleason doing spoken word. This year, I'm so excited. We have a 9-week course that we've partnered with the Diatribe and Union High School, C.A. Frost High School, and this year we also got a grant to do all the seniors at Ottawa Hills High School. And 2 of the students, the high school students, one from Union and one from Ottawa Hills, will be performing on stage in front of our luncheon. And we'll also have 3 other high school students, I think 2 from Ottawa Hills and 1 from Union, performing in one of the workshops that morning. So it should be a great event. Lisa Rice will be our keynote speaker. If you're interested and you're not already signed up, please contact us. We do have some seats that are turned back in from sponsors, and I'm sure they'd love to have one of you sitting at their table. So just feel free to email me. We hope to see you there. Thank you. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. All right, others wish to be heard?
Jim Howe, Second Ward. 2 weeks ago, you voted to remove the affordable housing incentives on corner lots that was added during the Great Housing Strategies. Tonight, I'm asking that you track the requests that come in for administrative approval to convert or build 2-family units on the corner lots. We should track if the property is currently a rental or owner-occupied, and then what the AMI is charged after the construction or conversion. I ask that you make this information publicly available so that the zoning changes can be tracked to see if they are creating more affordable housing in our city. I also ask that the administrative approval policy be clear on the intent of the zoning change is to create more affordable housing in the city. The first question that should be asked when considering administrative approval is, will this approval create more affordable housing? If the answer is not yes, then the approval should not be granted. It's an approval, it's a request, and we have the ability to say no. And we should use that when it's not creating affordable housing. Considering that it was passed in the Housing Now packet, which came out of the Affordable Housing Committee. So there's the back trail there, if you were wondering. On a second note, Commissioner Lanier, you often say about asking the right questions. This morning again, you asked the right question to the police people who did the police study about whether they tracked response times to certain areas of the city. If they didn't, they didn't answer your question. And if they didn't track that, I would say that's unacceptable. We should be able to map that out. If they could say the response time is 12 minutes, then they should be able to say where those cars went in that 12-minute time. I've personally had an accident on the north side at 6 p.m. and waited 2 hours for a police officer because of shift change, and he was dispatched but wasn't on shift yet kind of deal. I don't know what happened there, but so the 12-minute number was exciting for me to hear. If I ever need an officer again, I could set my watch. But my concern is if we're not looking at how the police are being dispatched in our city, and we're just saying overall we have a good response rate, that's not acceptable. These are figures. If you provided the data to the community of here's the time the call came in, here's when it arrived, here's the area it was, I'm sure the community would be more than willing for free to give you a map of where your dispatch times take place. I know a couple people now on your board of the civilian things that would love that data to start looking at. So I ask that you follow through with that and get a more clarified answer from them on that topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
How are ya? Can I read something from Johnny Brand? Because he was on vacation. And
You can use your 3 minutes to share whatever you want, whether they're comments from some of his comments or your own. So each speaker has 3 minutes. But you can leave a hard copy if you have them, and all of us will get a copy. That's another option.
Then I will leave Johnny's.
Okay, and we'll have our clerk make a copy and give us all a copy.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm Viola Stevens, and I am from Grand Rapids. As a resident of the city of Grand Rapids, I am perplexed that the city would spend $100,000 to pay a firm who doesn't live in Grand Rapids, knows nothing about Grand Rapids, to conduct a study in staffing and deployment, and not trusting the expertise of our chief of police and the command staff on their needs and concerns, or the very citizens of the city of Grand Rapids. I believe the findings are erroneous and do not serve my community. It serves a political agenda. I understand that the study was about staffing, yet not once was the safety of the community ever mentioned. Shouldn't that be the main objective? I mentor teenagers on the south side. I have driven my daughter's basketball teammates home who live on the west side. It's heartbreaking to me that shootings, crime, violence are spoken about so casually by the kids, yet in the same breath tell me they are afraid of their neighborhoods because of the violence and the shootings. Let me tell you about the kids. As I was dropping Jason off, who is 16 years old, last week, I noticed a house around the corner with yellow caution tape around it. I asked, what happened there? He very casually tells me someone was shot and killed there, and tells me his area doesn't have as many shootings as they do closer to Division, and for me not to worry about being in his neighborhood unless it's dark out. He tells me he and his brother and sister just stay inside. Devontae, a 15-year-old who was also in my car, lives a couple streets over, and he says, I just don't go outside too. It's too dangerous. Jayana, who lives on the west side, who told me they used to be able to walk around, but not anymore because her parents won't let them. It's too scary. It is simple arithmetic. You add more officers to a community to drive out crime, violence, and drugs, which makes a community safer. The findings that we don't need more officers not only puts our community at risk, but our police officers. We should be concerned as there have been a number of shooting incidents in Grand Rapids within a short period of time. In 6 days, there were 6 separate shooting incidents, 4 people shot and 1 killed. Less than a week ago, Kent County Commissioner Robert S. Womack was quoted in a piece by WZZM 13. It really hurts my heart to see the violence that's in the community. We definitely need to be proactive on that. We need more officers on the street, and that is one of the requests from GRPD for the past 5 years. Commissioner Womack wants the city to take action. We want the city to take action. We want the city to add more police officers, not civilians, to the Grand Rapids Police Department. Maybe you should ask our police department what they think. Maybe you should ask the community what they think. Maybe you should ask the kids what they think.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
if you want to leave that, we'll make sure everyone gets a
will.
copy.
This is from Johnny.
Yep,
You can
yep,
bring it right to me.
yep. Can you bring it up?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Good afternoon again.
Hello,
I'm
Pastor
Pastor
Williams.
Idella Williams, and I was wondering about adding 10 more police officers. My thing is that you could take what you have and train them, and you won't need any more. It's knowing how to diffuse an incident instead of escalating an incident. One says to make Dr. Payne chief to be of the Grand Rapids Police. And I asked him why. He said because he knows what he's doing. His desire is to make peace instead of war. My thing is, if you add more and you haven't trained them what to do, and one says, I thought that he had a gun, that doesn't cut it. If you don't know that he has a gun, why shoot him? And then you shoot him 5 and 6 times? You know the first shot, he was dead. He couldn't do you no harm. Why continually to shoot? When you take the people out of the car and they're on the ground already, why hit them and beat them? My father says, if my people that are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, turn from your wicked ways and seek his face, he will heal our lands. Our land need to be healed, and it comes first through us. If you see something or something going on, you're not a snitch if you tell them, well, this is happening. You give them an opportunity to calm down. I have many children, and I've taught them how. Don't go jumping into things. Find out first who's right and who's wrong. Find out how you can diffuse any activities that's going on in your neighborhood. I remember the times that they wasn't afraid to walk down the street. They wasn't afraid to go to the store by themselves. But now you find our children are afraid because they don't even know what the police. I asked my grandson, what do you want to be when you grow up? First he said, a police officer, because I want to protect people. Then he said, oh no, I want to be a fireman because they are the one that truly protects the people. God bless you.
Thank you. All right, others wish to be heard?
I'm Martha Cooper, Second Ward. So I remember some time ago when the immigrants came asking for dignity, respect, and they were asking for equal protection, and you did not give that to them. And I saw someone here that came at that time to speak and was very pro-police. And, you know, I'm not a former policeman, but I'm a community member, and the police actually work for us, okay? So when the community, I hope what you heard tonight, especially the part where they said that we realize that there's disruption and that it's uncomfortable. But if there hadn't been a civil rights movement, see, there's politicians and then there's movement work. And right now in America, with the racism that we see exploding everywhere, that's exactly what's going on. I sat here also, and you know, because that didn't get passed, a man was profiled. Why did they ask for licenses? Because Washington's trying to get rid of anyone they can call a criminal. If I didn't have a license, I wouldn't be deported, okay? So it's like the littlest infraction, and they can be criminalized, they can have their families separated, so this is politics. They don't run with politicians because they haven't been supported and taken care of. Before I run out of time, I also want to address the idea of an international workforce that I heard today, and I couldn't help but think, well, we have an international workforce. And they've worked their butts off to make this city vibrant. They've brought businesses and jobs, and they're being persecuted. They do the hard work, many of them. And a lot of them have invested in educations, DACA people, and they've just got nothing. And that's political. And you all are a political body. You have a job to do, and that's to work for the people of our city. We don't want people being afraid. I don't want a 6-year-old being afraid of a police officer. I'd rather he be afraid of yellow tape. And those neighborhoods have not had any investment, but we're going to dump rocks in the river. This is why I'm so passionate and up here all the time, because I care about justice. Justice, simple human justice, a place to live, children that can walk to the store without being afraid, education that isn't for profit. Y'all are making a profit. I want to know who profits whenever somebody is pulled over without a license. Who gets that money for that fine? Because if a fine to put in your pocket is more important than a human being's life, then we've got some serious, that is rabid capitalism.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. All right, any final comments before we close this opportunity? Mr. Miller, you have to come up or I'm closing the comment period.
So what's up, Mac? The one May parade, why do all the radicals and illegals that took over our meeting here a couple of weeks ago, and you never made us whole? You know, you should redo that meeting to make us whole. You didn't catch our comments. Now, on the 1st of May, they'll be taking over our downtown streets, Class C Monroe, where our buses don't go. You know, who pays your taxes? Who put you guys through public schools, through GRPS? Why don't, you know, you should know the routes I've brought up to you many times that simply don't run Monroe. You allow these radicals to pass through the Bob's Corner, the Rosa Parks. Once Camp Powell Square, all of our buses got in. Let's see, 9A5, well, let's go to 9B3 at Madison Square, bring back the stolen 19. It was stolen right off the streets. Hardly anybody objected to it. The Noble 19, instead of blowing 150 grand on parking at Madison Square, bring back the 19 from Oakdale Hall and Madison Square. On 90 grand for the rampaging Alger Stream Bank, more waste of money. 45, the whole pot, but down further, you want to turn perfectly good Blue Waters white, that's 45 million there, blown. The Bukowski appointment, CAB, is a known homo coddler. He wanted to turn Stocking School over exclusively homosexuals. He didn't even mention lesbians, so that's bigotry.
Mr. Miller.
On 6, I think it is, your pet pyromaniac set a fire in the stairwell of Butterworth. Well, most large fires, Holocaust, start out as small fires or stairwell. I was thinking the Our Lady of Angels tragedy before most were born. 95 school children burned to death, leaping from out of floors, including nuns. I knew the most prominent nun in that, and also Michelle, who struck up a conversation with me on. Fires are serious business, and your pet pyromaniac, it's outrageous. You know, he's not still behind bars. The 6 looks like your travel. You're changing this around, your travel policy, but why isn't this in the agenda so we can scrutinize it first? This is looks like more budget looting under 9.6, budget looting 101. Thank you very much.
Your time's up. All right, now I will close that comment period and turn to my colleagues, and I'll start down here with Commissioner Repart.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming out. Just a reminder, our budget conversations start in 2 weeks, so we hope that you'll tune in and weigh in on the decisions that we need to make about our upcoming budget.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Moody?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming out as well. And also I want to thank Mr. Doug Dittmeyer for coming out as well, because he does have an issue that he's concerned about, which is the cemetery which is located on the corner of Kalamazoo and 28th Street, which his facility is approximately 1,000 feet away, which allows the individuals whom he is selling his business to not to be in a position to be qualified. But however, I do know that there should be the marijuana zoning documentation that we have. I'm not sure if that was able to get out to everybody that was applying or if they knew what those laws were. Since I've been on this commission for 7 months, I just recently had an opportunity to sit down and go over them and read them for the first time, and did not realize that cemeteries were considered parks and residential. Being a mortician, you'd think I would know that. The other thing too is, as I looked at the Grand Rapids zoning ordinance on land use, I did not see anything in there that dealt with, unless I missed it, that cemeteries were parks and recreations together. So I need to go back and look at it again and get some clarification. But I just want to stipulate the fact that he's definitely concerned, and as a Third Ward City Commissioner, I think my position is to advocate for those who come to us to seek out help and seek it out righteously. I think that's important. The second thing I want to say, and I know that as a Third Ward City Commissioner, I need to be very careful with my words because sometimes our words can be misunderstood. Mr. Miller has mentioned my property on 2 separate occasions in reference to our city commission nights. And I don't want anybody to get the impression that there is something going on with my property. My property is well protected. There is lights around my property, and I don't want anyone outside of these chambers to get the wrong impression. My property is well secured. I just want to let you know that so that nobody gets hurt.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kelly?
I too want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I was very excited to hear the comments at the public hearing about Heartside. Congratulations, 40 years is a long time, but you were hard at work for many of the last few years, I know, and I'm looking forward to more opportunity to spend time in that area and with lights, bright lights, and especially interested in how you're going to continue to engage that community because, like you said, it doesn't have single-family homes. It's got different challenges, but it's got so many wonderful amenities. So thank you for that. Also very excited about this celebration that will be happening on August 10th, A Glimpse of Africa. I already took a couple pictures and sent them out to some family members with my camera. And this, Bing, I will make sure to join you with this. And then I would encourage everyone who is interested and who might still be listening to get online and read the Hilliard Heinz report. I think you'll find that it's got a lot of great information. We're trying to, City Commission is not, we don't sit around here, we do not have the expertise to evaluate staffing and deployment. They've helped us, I think, on the road to becoming a 21st century police department. So I'd encourage you to read the report and help us with your input on the decisions around our largest department in the city. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Lanier?
I'd just like to echo the same comments about thanking everyone for coming out tonight and sharing their feedback on the things we were voting on this evening and some of the community issues that we're experiencing, as well as some of the notifications about upcoming events and marches. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Jones?
Yep, thank you, Mayor. Just want to thank folks for coming out, also for those who expressed themselves by way of writing as well, the letters and the other documentation that we've received. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. City Manager, any final comments?
I want to thank the staff for all the work that they have done to help prepare this agenda, all the items from every single department, those that are here and those who could not be here but helped to prepare the docket for the day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, with that, we're adjourned. Have a good night. Be safe.